Hello again, folks. Good morning. Today is the 22nd day of January 2024. Plug in my phone in. Hi. It's kind of afternoon. It's about noonish, I guess. What time is it? Quarter till noon. A couple of updates today. One which deals with Gaza. The other which deals with this war in the heavens, as I like to refer to it, and how we are being conditioned in the alternative media to pick a side. And it's not necessarily the side we're supposed to be picking, or we should be picking. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's start off with Gaza. On my website, I have a number of, there it is, the white trash veranda. On my website, I have a number of, all the stuff I'm going to talk about is going to be here, except for this video, which you can find. It's The Hill 3 days ago. I'll show you that in a second. All of these links can be found right here on my website, and they're not hard to find. We'll start off real quick with Gaza. And more specifically, Benjamin Netanyahu. He is not in good shape. He is going to be removed from office. There are those calling for, even in his war cabinet, even on his own, within his own camp, there are severe discrepancies in terms of what they believe should be happening and the way forward. And Benjamin Netanyahu says there absolutely will never be a two-state deal. It will be a one-state deal where Israel is the one state, and they will own everything from the river to the sea. And that is the only way it's going to happen, in spite of the fact that even his own members of his own ministry, his own fucking war cabinet, understand that's not going to happen. That's never going to happen. And the damage that's going to be done to Israel in the meantime, while Benjamin Netanyahu tries to hold on to power and his Zionist dream, will be so devastating. It's already devastating, but it will be so devastating, it may threaten the very foundations that the state of Israel is built on. Benjamin Netanyahu is done. And he is the only fucking one at this point. If it wasn't for AIPAC, if it wasn't for the financial interests that still back the Zionist fucking agenda and people like Ben Gvir and Benjamin Netanyahu and the Likud party and Israel, it would be over. There's a number of articles here that I have little clips to, and you can clips from, and you can go and read the clip, and then you can go to the link where they're from, Press TV. But now it's becoming more obvious. And across the board, people are talking about it. Palestinian resistance spells the end of Netanyahu's political career. And that's an official from within his own cabinet talking about that. Netanyahu's regime is isolated and fearful of Gaza truth as Hamas fights on, says the United Kingdom's media. These are mainstream media. The non-aligned movement has now come out officially. All 120 of them, is it 120 or 90 in the non-aligned movement? And they have condemned Israel's illegal war on Gaza. This is massive. This is big. It's not just the United Nations, by the way. What's his face from the General Assembly, the head of the General Assembly? Gave a powerful speech yesterday talking about this, saying that this has got to stop. It's got to come to a draw. But of course, Benjamin Netanyahu refuses. He refuses a hostage negotiation. He refuses any kind of hostage deal for ceasefire, even a temporary one, because he has come out and stated, he has gone on the fucking record and stated that there will be no, they're already calling for fucking vote of no confidence votes. They're already calling for snap elections. And Benjamin Netanyahu has come out straightforward and said, we're a country at war. There's going to be no snap elections while we're a country at war. He's gone. He knows he's gone. This whole thing is dragging on simply because he knows as soon as the Israeli fucking usurping troops are pulled out of fucking Gaza, the people of Israel are going to demand accountability for what happened. And that means he's gone. And all he can do is try to hang on, keep fucking picking wars with Lebanon or Jordan or fucking Egypt or whoever the fuck else. He's doing this. They dropped a bunch of leaflets in Rafah yesterday. And the press covered it, but they didn't mention what the hell it was. It's pictures of fucking Israelis who are missing. And they're asking Palestinians to help find the fucking Israelis. Have you seen these Israelis? Do you know where these Israelis are? They want Palestinians that they've been bombing to death, 85% of them in Gaza, displaced permanently. Now running around homeless in their homeland because of this. And the IDF is dropping leaflets saying, hey, can you help us out? We're missing these 115 people. Because they're desperate. Because there are massive protests taking place now in Israel in an effort to force the Bibi Netanyahu and Likudnik regime to cut a deal and to bring their fucking loved ones home. We are at day 107. And this is becoming as political as the hostage crisis, the Iranian hostage crisis was, when George H.W. Bush met with the Iranians in fucking Paris, was it? Where was it? Where did they meet, in Paris? They met with them, and they cut a deal, arms for hostages. But they said, don't release them until after the election to make sure that fucking Jimmy Carter doesn't get reelected for him. This is about as bad as that. And of course, H.W. Bush is fucking hero in America, and he did that shit. Yeah, keep them until there's no election, because we want to win the election. That's literally what happened, and this is what fucking Bibi Netanyahu is doing. It's just despicable. That's the update on that. I can't really dive as much as I want to into this. I posted a bunch of stuff from my archive this morning, because what I want to try to express to you, I saw something from quote unquote the left's The Hill, and this is the Rising show, and in this little clip here, she is going to sing the praises, the left singing the praises of Javier Milei, going to the World Economic Forum and reading the World Economic Forum's 2,000 CEOs of major corporations in the world, reading them the riot act about their socialist plans for the world, and telling them the way we need to save the world, the way we need to bring up the world and to help all the people of the world is just complete free market ideology. The glorious free markets will save them, which of course, him going to the World Economic Forum praising free market ideology would be tantamount to me going to a Keebler Elf commercial or Keebler Elf fucking convention and suggesting to them the way we're going to fix, I can help you guys fix your business. I'll tell you what you do. Sell some cookies. That's what you should do. Sell cookies. because the World Economic Forum is all about neoliberal globalization. And neoliberal globalization, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is free market ideology. And what Javier Milei is doing is he is presenting libertarianism as somehow different from neoliberal free market globalization. The same neoliberal free market globalization that has corrupted our government by bringing these fascists in from the World Economic Forum and the 2,000 international businesses that they represent, that the World Economic Forum represents. And they're stated for the last 40 years goals of promoting neoliberal economic ideology everywhere, which includes what? Privatization, deregulation, free markets, liberated markets, borderless markets for hot money speculators like George Soros and so forth, the end of any kind of protections of their of countries' national fucking industries. This is neoliberalism. The use of what they call flexible workforces, meaning poor people from one neoliberalized country that can't find work at 68 cents a fucking hour in the fucking factories that we sent down there, will be removed the fucking borders so that that excess fucking flexible workforce can then come across the border into our country and start undermining wage structures here in the United States. And when I say deregulation, we're not talking about just big business, but also big business in terms of labor. There's no laws. There's no laws against, child labor. There's no fucking OSHA. There's no protections for fucking employees. There's no unions. This is free market economic ideology. And this is what made these billionaires into billionaires. Now, along comes this guy and a bunch of libertarian folks, and they're telling you the way to push back against the World Economic Forum and its communism is free market ideology, neoliberalism. The Libertarian Party at one time, a couple of years back, said, let's just stop with the bullshit. Let's just tell it like it is. We're neoliberals. The libertarians are neoliberals. Neoliberals are Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Obama, Biden, Pelosi, and of course Larry Fink and all of these people from BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, Goldman Sachs. They're all fucking neoliberals. The problem is neoliberalism is savage capitalism. And savage capitalism eventually eats its own. And that is exactly what it's done. And so the folks at the old World Economic Forum, understanding that neoliberalism and free market ideology was getting a bad rap, and that as a pyramid scheme, it can't continue to exist forever unless they keep getting more countries to chop up and throw into the fucking sacrificial pit, like Iraq and Syria and Libya and places like that. If they can't keep getting those with the IMF imposing these fucking loans on them and then making them make these structural adjustments and forcing neoliberal economic ideology on them, if they can't continue to do that, it will eventually, through the grift and the theft, they will steal themselves out of business, which is what they were concerned about, which is why they have the Great Reset. Someone knocked on my door. I don't know if I'm getting a delivery or something or somebody else. I don't know what that is. Unfortunately, I can't pause the recording on this, can I? There's a pause button. Give me 1 second. Maybe I can pause it. Okay, that was a false alarm. All right. Let me just play this for you so you can see what I'm talking about here. This is from this praise of this neoliberal posing and the neoliberal wolf in libertarian clothing, the praise of this is coming from the Hill, which is typically, supposedly, the left. But they're the DLC left. They're the fucking blue dog Dems left. They're the neoliberal, corporatist, centrist left.
Argentinian President Javier Milei delivered a speech at this year's World Economic Forum on a myriad of topics, ranging from GDP and growth rates to capitalism and wealth. Let's listen to some of that.
Okay.
Far from being the cause of our problems, free trade capitalism as an economic system is the only instrument we have to end hunger, poverty, and extreme poverty across our planet.
So here he is, once again, promoting the same fucking bullshit. They have always said this. This is neoliberalism. This is libertarianism. Glorious free markets. The invisible hand will save us all. And yet, over time, and it didn't take that long, people were opposing this shit when it was Margaret Thatcher, and then it was fucking Reaganomics. People were opposing this shit because they knew immediately how it felt. This doesn't raise people up. It makes millionaires. It makes billionaires. And that's exactly why the World Economic Forum and all of these fucking super rich elites pushed this shit for so long. And they kept saying the same shit. And yet here this guy is saying, no, we can't give up on it. And yet, over at the Hill, they're promoting this. Yeah, he read them the Riot Act. He's teaching those socialists over there a thing or two. It is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Let me tell you something. 1965. If you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. That's a guy by the name of Malcolm X. That was written in 1965. He also says the media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. And that's power because they control the minds of the masses. This is what they do. They used to do it with the mainstream media. They still do it to some degree with the mainstream media, but they understand. BRICS is, we talked about this in my last video. This is the war. The war is not in Gaza. The war is not in Ukraine. This is the fucking war. It is the multipolar worldview versus the unipolar worldview. And the unipolar worldview is represented by the fucking acolytes of neoliberal economic ideology. And they have for a long time. And the reason so many people, the reason they're losing the fucking war, the reason it's so easy for fucking China and Russia and the BRICS nations to get people to come to their side is because they've already been through austerity from the IMF. They've already had neoliberalism shoved down their fucking throats. And they don't want it anymore. And because neoliberal economic ideology, or libertarianism if you would, is so goddamn corrupting. I can't tell you, I mean, there was, you can go and read Naomi Klein's fucking shock doctrine. I can't tell you. Of course, look at where she is now. Look at what she's been sold into now as a World Economic Forum pushing the fucking global warming bullshit. This is how much power they have. I can't tell you how easy it must be to have these fucking, to present your side when your side is saying, we'll make a loan to you if you want to do business with our people, that's fine. We don't tell you how to run your country. We don't tell you how to impose shit. We don't tell you you've got to bring in fucking George Soros and his hot money speculators. We don't tell you any of that shit. We'll just loan you the money. You do what you need to. If you want us to help you build fucking nuclear reactors, we'll do that. If you want us to help you with some infrastructure, we'll do that. We would like to be able to trade with you on the Silk Road Initiative later, the Belt and Road Initiative, whatever it is. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. But we'll do the loan, and the interest will be minimal, as opposed to what we do. Take this shit, line your pockets, fuck your whole country over, like Zelensky's doing, like they've always done with this shit. Fuck your own people over, but you line your pockets. And of course, you'll have to impose all these fucking austerity measures and shit, and get rid of any kind of protections, get rid of any kind of social safety net, just let the free market run wild in your country. And of course, what happened to the fucking Asian tigers? They were destroyed. What happened to fucking Russia under Boris Yeltsin? It was destroyed. It always fucking does it. It's a parasitic economic ideology. However, it does make people like him, Milei, wealthy. When they come in and they say to you, hey, we're going to give you this carpet of fucking gold, and you and your family can fucking got the golden ticket because you, quote unquote, won the election, or we'll carpet bomb the shit out of you. And we'll have one of your own generals stick a knife up your ass and you'll be dead. Yeah, it's your choice, however you want to go. Milei made his choice. And now he's being praised for it. It won't take 5 years to see the damage that he's going to do to his country. It won't take 3. But nobody will talk about it because nowadays, because this conflict in the heavens is, close to moving from Cold War to hot war status. They're going to continue to propagandize us relentlessly. And that means even going on left-leaning fucking fake left, but left-appearing fucking alternative outlets and praising the far, far right fucking Javier Milei and his far, 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 far right fucking neoliberal libertarian economic ideology. It's fucking bizarre. There's a bunch of stuff now. Here. There's a bunch of stuff here. If you scroll down at the bottom of this thing, you'll see this. Below the break, you'll see this. I'll put this on top of the break, and then the break will be. Let's just put the break here now while we're fucking talking. Here's a bunch of stuff. If you don't believe me, I can't go through all of these points. I'm just not feeling particularly great, but it explains to you what neoliberal globalization is. It explains to you what neoliberalism is. The state tends to withdraw from all areas of social life. The welfare state and the ideal of collective responsibility are limited or undermined. Self-help, self-responsibility of individualism for their problems and the capability of the market to regulate itself without human intervention are emphasized. Growth, productivity, and competition are presented as the only goals of collective human actions. This is neoliberal economic ideology. It's also, by the way, if you go to these links right here, the same thing as libertarianism. It's the same thing. If you don't believe me on fucking Barack Obama and Bill Clinton being neoliberal, hence you could describe them as libertarian, there's plenty of quotes, there's plenty of information, there's plenty of facts. Cass Sunstein, in fact, was his regulation czar. His job was to cut as many regulations for big business as humanly possible. And of course, Bill Clinton himself came out in a speech and talked about, we're now, where's that speech? There's a speech here someplace from old Bill Clinton. I don't know where it is. I'll put it up here someplace. There's a speech from Bill Clinton proudly fucking talking about the fact that it's time to, the days in 1996, the State of the Union address, the days of big government are over. We're going to go with small government and deregulations. They're all fucking neoliberals, including Milei, including anybody who's pushing that shit. Now, If you think this is just some guy on the left shitting on the fucking alt-right, you're absolutely fucking wrong. Because first of all, the Hill is supposedly alt-left. Second, I've been doing this shit for a very long time. And I've been talking about this stuff for a very long time. Here's something from 2015. Gray State, the rise is pure Ayn Randian neoliberal globalist propaganda. Talking about fucking Alex Jones, talking about all these fucking people pushing this stupid fucking documentary, The Gray State. Trying to promote Ayn Randian fucking neoliberal economic ideology. Here's a Clinton globalist initiative. Neo-fascism is the best world in the world. I wrote this in 2012, talking about Kevin Spacey and Jack Black and singing praises to the fucking Clinton globalist initiative. The Clinton Foundation fighting global issues through business-oriented solutions. The Clinton Foundation is the best world in the world, said Jack Black. Of course, because they're sycophants. Because they're Hollywood fucking actors. They'll say whatever they're told to say. They'll suck whatever they're told to suck. But this is a long time ago. I didn't just call out the fucking alt-right. I call out the alt-left. And the alt-right. Walker wins. Neoliberal structural reforms on tap for everyone. They have a mandate now. That's 2012. How we're being tricked to see the world through Ayn Rand's pathetic little eyes, or how I learned to stop worrying and love the vile maxim. That's 2013. And here we go, Abby Martin. Let's end this debate right now. Abby Martin and Breaking the Set are nothing more than neoliberal propaganda. Go check those out. Also, here's a good thing on Dr. Ladapo. I'm going to cover that tomorrow. Talk about what he was talking about. Go check this stuff out. I'm not making this shit up. They will have you hating the oppressed and loving the oppressor. They will have you. They will have. They understand that the conflict right now across the globe is between one economic ideology and another. And they want you to stick with the one that brought you the World Economic Forum. The one that brought you Pfizer's fucking mandated jabs. The one that brought you endless fucking wars of aggression. The one that brought you electronic voting machines. The one that brought you every goddamn thing that you as a member or as a consumer of the alternative media have come to recognize and rightly despise. And now they're going to try their fucking level best as things start to fucking heat up to muddy the waters so you can't understand, you can't make heads or tails of what the fuck China's communist. They're communists, Scott. They're not communists. They're a regulated market economy, just like we were from 1935 to 1979. That's what made the world's first true middle class, politically and economically. Regulated market economies. Not free market economies, regulated market economies. And then we went to the free market economies in 1980 with the Reagan Revolution. And how the fuck is that gone? And now these libertarians and the Hill and other people on the left and Russell Brand and fucking Javier Milei, they'll all have you saying, hey, we got to go with that neoliberal plan. Now, let's try that neoliberal plan. You've already done it. It doesn't work. They are desperate. They are 100% desperate. And so, this is them. Once again, I'll let Mr. Malcolm X, who put it much better than I ever could, explain it to you. If you're not careful, the newspapers and the alternative media will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and make the guilty innocent. And that is power. because they control the minds of the masses. They've turned their fucking attention. They've turned the great eye of Sauron to us. And they have been infiltrating it for quite some time. Quite some time. Because they know what they have to offer. If you look at it on the table next to the other, you of course reject it. So they're muddying the waters. They're gaslighting you. They're trying to confuse you so you don't understand the conflict. And that's what they're doing. Anyway, I thank you for your time, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.